Hello and welcome to the Upper Deck. It's Sunday Fun Day and we're ready to roll. I'm Lynn, and that sitting right next to me as always is Sierra. What's up, Sierra?
Good morning, Lynn. I'm very happy to talk about baseball today because football is very depressing for me right now. So I'm happy that the MLB has a lot of rumors and a lot going on, not just about Juan Soto, but about other players as well, because it's keeping me busy and it's keeping my focus off of how bad my football team is.
Yeah, and I'm really sorry about the Giants and their record so far. I, on the other hand, as a Bills fan, am sitting on a high mountain because they beat the Chiefs last weekend, which is like the Yankees beating the Red Sox, Jays, and Guardians, and every other, and Dodgers in the same weekend all together.
Right.
That would be the synonym there. So if we could get like the Bills stuff transferred onto the Yankees, because the Bills made a lot of changes in their team in the off season. We're hoping to do the same, and if the Yankees could get the same kind of outcome, I think we'll all be happy. And good morning to everyone that's in the chat so far. Wow, everyone's filing in. CT, you won the attendance award this week. I spied you sometime around 10:15 this morning. And Lori, great to see you. Shayna, what's up? Jordan, good to see you. And Gregory, and there we have Chiefs. Chiefs, were you there when I just said what I said? I hope so. Not to. Oh yeah. Well.
He was there.
Okay. Well, if uh, the Bills are rubber and you're glue, it bounces off of them, sticks to you, Chiefs. Okay. We're the ones that showed up last week. And Karen's here. Great to see you, Karen. Always love people from other fan bases. It's really random and convenient that there's a Chiefs fan in here. He must be Nostradamus and just knew.
His ears
Yeah.
were ringing.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. You're saying the same thing over again, so that's all you got. But have a nice day. Okay. And Roy, good to see you. Roy, let's see what you got.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
Yep. So Roy's putting us right on the Soto mark.
Let's do it.
Sierra, you and I were talking before the show about, are we all exhausted with the Juan Soto talk? Because that this is going to be the drama, that it's going to be like the cliffhanger at the end of a season, that it's going to drag and drag and drag. So,
I don't
got a lot of
know.
other things to talk about, but let's get Soto. I'm not going to say out of the way because I know he's going to keep popping up in the chat, and we'll continue to talk about him. But let's do some headlines on Juan Soto.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if you've ever been a basketball fan, or if anyone in the chat has ever been into the NBA, but if you have, you'll remember the whole LeBron James saga when he went to Miami, and they did this whole episode on ESPN where he announced that he was taking his talents to Miami to win some championships. That's what I'm expecting from Juan Soto at this point. I'm expecting Juan Soto to finally figure out who he's signing with, show up on ESPN, MLB Network, wherever it is, with his two main teammates, whether that be Judge and Stanton, or whether that be Lindor and Alvarez or Pete Alonso from the Mets, and do this whole big production, because that's what it feels like at this point. Every day it's, what did Juan Soto eat for breakfast? Who did Juan Soto unfollow on Instagram? What did Juan Soto comment on a YouTube stream? I literally don't care at this point. And I know that I'm in the minority of Yankees fans who think that the Yankees need a plan B, but we need a plan B, because Juan Soto, he's playing the field right now, guys. Like, he's sowing his wild oats. He's not married to us. He's not committed. He doesn't have the ring. So he's going to go out and he's going to find his money before he makes a decision.
That's right. And if you're thinking that the Dodgers were the last visitors, you're delusional, because there's a sleeper out there waiting to pounce in and just watching what's going down from the teams that already visited. And I'm sure there's conversations happening with Boris from all sorts of teams. And and the thing is, the other thing is, the big headline this is how hungry we are for any kind of hint. That, Judge spoke to Steinbrenner about Soto. Oh, okay. So, um, does that change anything? Does that open up the House wallet any further? I mean, we thought that Judge probably had some influence in getting the ball over the goal line, for getting him in the first place. But now we're talking about all kinds of different money. And, I don't think even Judge would have the influence there, but we're really grasping on straws for how this is really going to happen.
Soto is looking to be the highest paid player ever in Major League Baseball because he's not looking for deferments, right? He's not Shohei Ohtani. Plus, the Yankees and the Mets aren't going to defer money, and I doubt any of the other teams outside the Dodgers that are looking at him are. He's looking at $600 million across 13 years. So that is more than an AAV of $45 million, which is what he was projected. He's looking at like $46.2 million AAV. Now, in my opinion, and I've said this multiple times, I love Juan Soto. He's offensively, he's amazing. You can't replace that production. But he cannot play the outfield very well. And I don't care if you move him back to left field, if you put him right field, or if you freaking want to put him at first base like some of you crazy people out there. Eventually, he's going to be a glorified DH. And Yankees fans, they hate Giancarlo Stanton for doing the exact same thing. So why would we 7 years from now, when Juan Soto's like 32, 33 years old, be okay with Soto doing it? Like, it doesn't make sense. And I'm not saying walk away from Soto. So don't anyone take what I just say and run with that. But there has to be a plan B. Because if not, there's just going to be holes everywhere. And 7 years from now, you're going to have Juan Soto playing DH, and you're not going to have an outfield or an infield because we're going to miss out on all of these non-tendered people, all of these cheap free agents, and we're going to be relying on just the kids. And we all know how good the Yankees do at developing their kids in their farm system. So we got to be a little bit serious here.
Yeah. She's being a little facetious if you didn't catch that, everybody. And and the thing is, I'll remember this moment when he's 34 years old and fans are complaining, and it'll be just like the way they are with Stanton right now. And so Juan Soto's going to be the one that, he's not what he used to be, and all that stuff. And so, are we going to have buyer's remorse? We don't know. Everything's a gamble there, right? And so, and you started somewhere where I think we're going to pivot, but let me just say a bunch of people flew on in. So Mazza, great to see you. Ford Trade Express, follow him on the X, and let's see who else came in. Yankees Sports Live Show, great to see you. Grace Norman, great to see you as well. And Demon D, oh, okay. Demon D, I hope that you're, going to use your demonic influence to get us all the good stuff. We're going to make a deal with the devil if we have to. And Gregory Wayne, I don't remember if I shouted you out, but so great to see so many people in the chat. So, Sierra, you were just talking about there's plenty of other, guys out and available that are not going to sit around for long. So who do you have on your mind if we are going to quickly pivot from Soto? And how long do the Yankees wait?
Yeah, so outside of, the free agents that we've already talked about or the possible trades, the non-tender deadline just passed. So anyone who was non-tendered by their team is now a free agent and is up for grabs. The Yankees, no one has talked about the left field for the Yankees outside of Jason Dominguez. And I know that I'm going to make a lot of Yankees fans mad by saying this. I truly don't think, unless they play him in left field for an entire season in the minors, that he can make the jump to the MLB and be our left fielder. It is not an easy position to play. And they had him playing center field all last season in the minors. And then he came up, played left field, made some terrible plays. And I don't hold it against him because, like I said, they didn't play him in that position. So it is what it is at this point. However, we need to think about options. We just avoided arbitration with Trent Grisham, so we do have our backup center fielder if we're keeping Judge in center field. But Mike Tauchman could be a good sleeper pickup for the Yankees. We've already seen what he can do in left field when he was here for a few years. Now, I know offensively he's not the greatest, but at this point, not everybody in our lineup can be a superstar, we need someone who can play left field. And even if we bring Soto back, we could probably still afford to bring in Mike Tauchman because he's going to be cheaper than anyone else out there because of his age and because of his batting average. So, but he can play the field. I'm sorry, Dominguez isn't ready, and we need an option out there.
Right. And I was a Tauchman fan. I was actually sad when we got rid of him. And that would be a solid pick. I'm also going to toss out there, and we talked about him last week. Santander would be also a very reasonable pivot and for much less money. So, with Santander, we're talking maybe around 19 million a year, a little bit more. And when you look at his, with his record, and his experience, the thing with acquiring a new guy on the team is are they gonna live up to who they were, where they were, because New York is such a tough market. He's very seasoned in the AL East. He's had tons of experience with the Sox and the Rays and us. So, and when you look at the money, that then with all those holes we got to fill that everyone is forgetting. I think it's a natural thing to think about. He just had his best season. I think like 44 home runs, 100-ish RBIs. So I think that he's available. So why not grab him? And you know what? At 19 million, why not grab him anyway for the depth? And I know luxury tax is a concern, and what will happen with the luxury tax if they have to go to $12 billion for Soto. But wondering what you think about Santander.
Ooh, yeah, I like Santander. I think he's a good outfielder, first of all. And I don't agree with Brad. I think Soto is given a little too much room when it comes to his skills in the outfield. There's literally a whole video that you can find on Twitter of Soto kicking the ball, missing the ball, dropping the ball. Like, there's literally a whole highlight reel of Soto being bad in right field, guys. Like, and that's where my frustration is with Soto, because he's not going to get any better in right field. And there's been talk about moving him back to left field because that's his natural position. But when did the Yankees ever do things that make sense? So if Soto comes back, he's going to be in right field. So he's not going to improve. It's not going to happen. Santander, I think, is a great option because he's a good outfielder. He's not amazing, but he's not below average. But he's also a nice bat to have in the lineup. 44 home runs is nothing to wave your hands at. Like, that's pretty good, especially when, who knows if we make it back to the postseason, who knows what Judge is going to do, okay? Judge is the best player in baseball regular season, but we need guys who can show up postseason. And if you bring in a veteran like Santander, maybe he can do that for you, because clearly we're walking away from Gleyber Torres, who helped Stanton and Soto carry us through the playoffs. So we need another bat. And I think that's a viable option, honestly.
Right. And if he's a reliable bat and we don't get Soto and put him in front of Judge, it still does some of the things. I don't know if he's the kind of guy that will make a pitcher hit, throw 83 balls before the, the pitch is over. But, it's not a bad bat to have ahead of a Judge in terms of getting some action at the plate. So, yeah. And Lori was saying Santander is her bank as well. I just think I think I didn't even get to say it last week, so maybe I'll say it twice this week. We still have to manage our expectations. Mm-hmm. The Dodgers aren't done with their presentation. Cohen is going to be all in. So, and we have Hal, who is all in until he gets really uncomfortable with the leather stretching on his wallet. Mm-hmm. Even though, and he's been very persnickety with the press about the doings. And I have a quote for him, that is saying he doesn't have a set payroll for 2025. Does anyone believe that for a second?
No.
He's down to the penny on that. And then he told Cashman, just have your people bring out every possibility out there. I want it coming my way, and we'll just keep talking. That is nothing but gobbledygook to kind of try to appease the fans. Guess what, Hal? We're smarter than that. So nobody believes you, and when it comes right down to the almighty dollar, I'm worried about who's sleeping and about to swoop in that we don't think have the coffers, and how high will the Dodgers and the Mets go?
Yeah, and not for nothing, Soto has kind of made it clear that he wants a team built around him. He wants to know that the farm system is going to be good and that he's going to win more than one ring. And while the Yankees can get to the World Series, like, we don't have a good farm system. And I know that there are so many Yankees fans that disagree with me on this, but our farm system is ranked like, I want to say like 16 or 17th. Like, that's not good in my opinion. The Red Sox have some of the top prospects in the system right now. Outside of Jason Dominguez, who do we have in the top prospects? Spencer Jones, who's still striking out 75% of the time. I know that that's a made up number, but like, come on, guys. Soto wants to have prospects around him, and he wants a team built around him. Our team is built around Aaron Judge, and nothing's going to change that. With or without the prospects, Aaron Judge is our team. Where does that leave Soto? Okay. And I'm not saying that that's going to make his final decision, but the Red Sox are a sleeper team because, like I said, they have the top prospects, and that was their whole presentation. They're not trying to woo him by saying, we're going to give you $18 billion, but we can also build a team around you and win some championships. And the Red Sox have proven in the past that they will go on a tear and win championships in a row. And you know what? They also don't have a second baseman. So how funny would it be to watch Soto and Glaber, the two besties, end up in Boston together and absolutely kick our asses next year?
Oh my God, I didn't even think about that.
Because Rafael Devers already owns us. So
Right,
I'm just
right.
saying.
Oh my God, you just totally ruined my day, perhaps my
Sorry.
life.
Very sorry.
And the other thing, like we talked about last week, is to your point, they have Devers already. They got the big dollars guy already. So they have money to spend this
And they
season.
barely pay him. They don't pay him the Judge money or the Lindor money. So
Right.
or the Alonso money, because you have to think too, like in the New York market. So we're already paying Judge and Cole all of this money, right? The Mets, so they are looking for Soto, but Pete Alonso was also a Scott Boras guy. And Scott Boras has proven that he's not going to just get money for one of his guys. He will pester everyone to the death until every single one of his free agents is paid. Scott Boras is like the worst thing for baseball. He's a great agent for his people, but for baseball, he is the devil, and the Yankees should just cut ties with him, because every time we have to deal with a free agency with Scott Boras, it just gives me heartburn because it's never ending.
Really, I just wish that there could be a rule about how many players an agent can have, because he really owns MLB. And so it doesn't really help get the best players at a fairer market. And so hey TC, good to see you. Our prospects are way overhyped and hardly ever pan out. So, like Sierra was just saying about the Red Sox and their player development, they need to take a page from the Red Sox on that, because all of history is show not all of history, but recent history at least shows we're not doing great at that. We who do we have out of the past 4 years that has shown up and been an asset to the team? That's really Volpe, as far as I'm concerned. We'll never know about Peraza because of what they did to him. But I think, and then we have Jason, who we already have some, low key concerns about. Maybe not even low key, maybe edging towards high key worries about. So we don't manage prospects well at all. And so, um, the Soto thing is just going to suck all the life and energy out of us. And I think it's time, and I hope that behind the scenes they are looking at the alternatives and starting to have some discussions. Now, if you're going to tell me that Boris has Santander as a client, I think the easier question is, who doesn't Boris have as a client?
Teoscar Hernandez has a no-name agent who got him that 1-year deal with the Dodgers and won him a World Series. So Teoscar I think, is the guy that people need to look out for because he is a no-name agent who did that for him, and now he's coming for the bag because he just proved his worth.
Yep. Yep. So let's pivot a little bit away from Soto. You had some other hot stuff to talk about, Ciara.
Yeah, I mean, there was a lot of non-tender stuff going on. So it's rumored that the Yankees could possibly be looking into more starting pitching because even though we have 17 starting pitchers, they're not the most reliable. Yankees right now, they're linked to Walker Buehler, which it scares me a little bit because he's not terrible, and obviously he pitched well against us in the World Series. But last season might have been his worst regular season of all of his entire career. I wrote down his ERA because I'm not going to remember off the top of my head. So he has a career 3.27 ERA, but last year he was over 5, but he only pitched 64 innings last season. So he could be a good option, but do the Yankees need a starting pitcher? Because then also Kyle Finnegan was just non-tendered as well from the Nationals, and he has a proven track record of being a decent starting pitcher. Will the Yankees finally move on from Nestor Cortes and all of his antics? Because I'm sorry, he's not reliable. The pitch clock ruined Nestor Cortes, and I will die on that hill because he can't do all his crazy movements and waste time.
Right.
And also, I think what Aaron Boone did to Nestor Cortes in the World Series in Game 1, it had to have just destroyed the guy's confidence, and I'm concerned at where he'll be at next season at headspace. But that's just me thinking really hard into things. And then we have Stroman, our dear Stroman, who was on the World Series roster. It didn't do a damn thing. So who knows what the Yankees' plans are for Stroman next year? Is he just going to be in the bullpen because he's a veteran? Are they going to let him start? Who freaking knows at this point? But he's going to be here for another 2 seasons at this point. And we can't rely on him. Like I said, Cortes, it's time to move on. I don't trust Carlos Rodon. I don't care how good he pitched last season. His meltdowns time and time again just show me who he truly is. And Garrett freaking Cole, if he don't get his act together in 2025, I swear to God, I will lose my mind.
Well, and so when you talk about Cortes they've signed, so we have him, and Stroman we still have. So I think you make a really good point that at best they should be in the bullpen. And given the fact that there are still so many holes in the bullpen, I bet that that's really the plan. And Ciara, I know that you had mentioned about Tim Mesa, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So I was looking at the bullpen this morning and it gave me a headache because okay, so we went through arbitration with JT Brubaker. Whatever. He didn't pitch for us last season because we got him post damage, right? We got the damaged goods. But what I don't understand is if you're looking at his overall career, not just 1 or 2 seasons, JT Brubaker freaking sounds like a blueberry pie. He has a 4.99 career ERA. Tim Mesa, who is a lefty, and we're always complaining that we need lefties, has a career 3.88 ERA and proved that he could pitch and work with Matt Blake's program. Why? It would have been $6 million, if that, to sign him for a year. I don't understand. It was chump change. And then in the bullpen, we have Mark Leiter Jr., and I know he started to grow on people, but I don't trust him, okay? We have Yuri De Los Santos. Who the hell is that guy, okay? Who the hell is that? We have, on the 40-man roster right now, we have Will Warren, Clayton Beeter, and Cody Poteet. Will Warren has proven time and time again that he cannot pitch in the MLB. Clayton Beeter, I haven't seen enough of. Cody Poteet, I would love to see him in the bullpen next year. I've made that clear for the last 11 episodes, right? I love Cody Poteet. Maybe it's a little biased because we have the same last name, but he's a good pitcher. But outside of Luke Weaver, we don't have a bullpen, guys. And that makes me so nervous. But we have 6 starters, and only 2 that you can rely on. So what are we doing here?
Two.
What are we doing?
We really have Cole and Schmidt at this point. And Cole has his moments too, as I'm seeing in the chat. And I just want to thank Steve Sunshine for correcting me. Steve, when I don't have caffeine, all sorts of weird things happen. So how I just mentioned Volpe and forgot our rookie of the year, and Austin Wells, the third place rookie of the year.
I'm going to respectfully disagree with Steve, though.
Okay.
Because Luis Gil, AL Rookie of the Year or not, he has control issues, and until he can figure that out, he's not going to be a Cy Young caliber pitcher for us. He showed us time and time and time again that he is inconsistent, and that should be a concern for everybody.
Yeah, and were you surprised that he ultimately got the Rookie of the Year award?
100%. I thought it was going to be Austin Wells.
Yep, and I think it should have been. And so Willard saying, no disrespect, but Rodon played the same way with the White Sox and Giants.
And I've made that point all season, Willard,
Yep.
like, and maybe not on this show. So you're not. So I totally understand where you're coming from. But like, I've had this conversation with other baseball fans throughout the season. He did not pitch well for the White Sox. He had one good season with the Giants, and we signed him to all this money. What were we doing, Cashman? That is one of the times that I cannot get behind Brian Cashman, because that was a terrible signing, in my opinion.
Yeah. So, and then who else got available that we haven't mentioned yet before we move on?
So Gavin Sheets was non-tendered. The Yankees need a first baseman. I'm just saying. Literally, the White Sox had 2 first basemen that were on the non-tender list. They chose to let go of Gavin Sheets. I would prefer that they let go of Andrew Vaughn for personal reasons, because I think he would have been a better option for the Yankees to pick up. Either way, it could be a sneaky move, because who the hell knows what's going on at first base at this point. We've already, we've moved on from Rizzo, but do we have the guys in the mind? Like, do we want to put that on Ben Rice and Rumfield or Waldo? Because Birdie's gone. That was your other option for first base, and he's gone. And DJ LeMahieu's not an everyday player. He's never going to, his foot is never going to be what it was 3 years ago. He's got the gout or whatever. He should just get it amputated at this point and move on with his life. But it is what it is. The Yankees like to hold on to their veterans. And in a way, I can respect it, because, they're not just taking them out back and shooting them. But with DJ LeMahieu, it's time. It's time to maybe do that to him, right? Like, he's not an everyday player. So now we have no first base, whatsoever. So you have Jazz maybe at third base, maybe at second, who the hell knows? And we're putting all of our faith for second base on Caleb Durbin based off of the Arizona Fall League, he's been great, but what are we doing? But Volpe, listen, I love Volpe. He showed up for us in the playoffs and in the World Series, so this is no disrespect. But that little macaroni noodle arm of his, he needs a good first baseman, because without Anthony Rizzo, Anthony Volpe doesn't win a Gold Glove. And I will argue with you guys until the day that I die. But Volpe doesn't win a Gold Glove without Rizzo. He needs a veteran presence at first base who is going to scoop balls for him, reach this way, reach that way, do gymnastics. And I don't think Ben Rice or Rumfield are those guys. I really don't.
But Cabrera could be one of those guys. I
have faith in Cabrera. I know a lot of people don't, but Cabrera shows up to every practice with a glove for every position. That's the type of guy I want on my team.
That's right. And I think he's more than earned it. So, yeah, it would leave us one less utility player, but I would not be the least bit mad if we started off the season with him as the first baseman. And, like I said, you can't say that somebody deserves a position in MLB ball. That's not how it works. But he has the track record. And enough of it at first base for me to say that. I think. Is he Anthony Rizzo? Time will tell, because he's still young and he hasn't been a regular player. But does he have potential to be? Who knows? And by the way, he'll be Waldo Cabrera no matter what, and not Anthony Rizzo no matter what. But guaranteed, it would be great to have a veteran, first baseman who's not all that old and doesn't come with, multiple surgeries and, missing seasons like our recent gets. I guess we'll have to wait and see, but we're going to have to really pivot to using our utility guys to fill in these holes if they don't get filled.
Yep.
And then, go ahead, Ciara.
No, honestly, and then one more hot stove thing. I'm sure everyone else follows all of MLB just like we do, but Reds and Royals just made a very mutually beneficial trade for both teams. So listen, I made a tweet the other day and I was being very sarcastic because I know that the Yankees were looking at Jonathan India at the deadline, or maybe they weren't. It was rumored that he was available at the deadline, and everybody wanted to dump Gleyber Torres and get into a relationship with Jonathan India, and that didn't happen. Well, he just got traded to the Royals with outfielder Joey Weimer, and the Reds got a starting pitcher, which what they needed in Brady Singer. So those are smart moves for both of those baseball teams, and they don't play in the same division. Like, the Yankees need to make a relationship with another team like that because both those teams just got better overnight.
Yeah. TC, don't apologize. We could disagree. I wouldn't call it punting though. I would call it pivoting and using what you have and using what you have data to support performs. And we do have the data to support that he performs and comes through well more than he does not. And that goes the same for his bat, which also we don't talk a good deal about. So multiple position player, yes. Productive at the plate, yes. Not does he hit for power? No. But I say over and over again that power hitting is not the only thing that matters and gets us to the postseason. And so I understand where you're coming from. You want the name, you want the shiny object. I'm just saying, because I'm practical, and I manage my expectations, that I wouldn't be sad about it. And I'm just beginning to cope here in November, knowing how I might feel in April. And so one more thing on the rumor mill comes from you, Ciara. What's happening potentially from Japan?
Yeah, so obviously everyone's eyes are on Roki Sasaki. Like, where's this guy going to end up? I still think he's going to be a Cub. Everybody else and their mama thinks he's going to the Dodgers. And you know what's going to happen? He's going to end up in the Mets because no one's talked about it. But out of Japan, off the Giants, I think that was the team he was on, 35-year-old Tamiyoku Sugano is also expected to be put up in January and make the jump to the MLB. It's interesting because Sasaki is young, right? Like, he's 23, 24. Sugano, and I'm so sorry if I'm saying your name wrong. I apologize with all of my heart. He's 35. So what does he have to offer to the MLB at this point? Where is he going to end up? Will he be a back-end reliever for somebody? Because of his age, it'll be a sneaky pickup because no one's going to spend a lot of money on him. I mean, no one is anyway, because when they make that leap that first year, you don't have to spend a lot of money. I think it's a couple mil, like nothing big. But he will be, I truly think he'll be a sneaky pickup because people are going to look at the fact that he's 35 and has never played over here and not want to take that chance. So I have a feeling that he will end up being one of the better pitchers in MLB in 2025.
Well, and given everything you just said, Ciara, I'm predicting right now he will be a starting pitcher for the Yankees. So I'm glad you're feeling good about him. So that's interesting news. And let's see what happens with the talk between the Yankees and Bueller. Personally, I would love having Bueller here just so I could keep using Bueller, anyone, Bueller, all season long. So let's go to this next little ditty. So let's talk about the comings and goings that we haven't covered yet. So in addition to Durbin, which Ciara, you touched on already, and we talked about him last week, we also got a catcher, Jesus Rodriguez from AA on the 40-man roster. And so let's see a slash line from last season: 302, 375, 481 with 48 runs, 15 doubles, 10 homers, and 47 RBIs. And he's now on the 40-man from AA. I have no other info on him. But what do you think? First of all, what do you think about leaping over AAA to come up on the 40-man already? What are they seeing that I'm missing?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it means too much because we're not going to see him on the opening day roster, but I think come spring training, they're trying to put some pressure on Jose Trevino because he just isn't the player he once was. I was so sad when the Yankees let go of Kyle Higashioka. He had been here for 10 years, and he went over to the Padres, and he's absolutely killing it over there. And anyone who disagrees with me, I'm sorry. Typically, I can say, agree to disagree. But if you disagree with me on that one, you're wrong because he's fantastic over there. Jose Trevino, I don't dislike the guy, okay? I had a little bit more faith in him in the beginning of 2024. Towards the end, when Austin Wells really started to shine, I was like, okay, Trevino cannot be our starting catcher anymore. And I truly think that they just want to put pressure on Trevino in this spring training because he's got to find a way to improve his pop and his arm.
Yeah.
Or he can't be our catcher because the 2024 teams learned that all you have to do to beat the Yankees if Trevino is behind the plate is run on him. He can't throw you out. So I don't know. I have no idea. It's a little weird, but the Caleb Durbin one, that was just like a knife to my heart from the Yankees. That was like the official goodbye to Gleyber Torres, and I'm still not over it, and I do not forgive the New York Yankees for doing that. So yeah,
I understand. Even though Brett Gardner, I think, just turns 102, I'm still mad at them for letting him go too. I understand. And Karen agrees, and so do I, by the way, about Higgy. And so Higgy went the way of other Yankees that were let go of, that just absolutely, skyrocketed for their other teams. So the same. You think Gleyber really showed up in the postseason? Watch him on his next team. He's going to be an absolute menace.
100%. And if he ends up in the AL East, he's going to kill us. Like every time I see him, he's going to kill us. But Higgy, like I'm going to get on my little soapbox. I'm sorry. I was so proud watching Higgy catch another no-hitter this season because I'm also a really big Dylan Cease fan. I live in Chicago, so just by proxy, I go to White Sox games. They're super cheap. Sure. I love Dylan Cease. He's a fantastic pitcher. He's one of my favorite in the majors, and I really wanted the Yankees to get Dylan Cease. But so when he threw his no-hitter, like beautiful. Like, but Higgy also did you see him in the playoffs? Like he showed up, and I don't know how the Yankees didn't see that from him. We should have let go of Trevino, and that's just I'll die on that hill today and a lot of other hills, I guess, because
I wish that they had the humility to have seller's remorse about it, because that really was a mistake, and we still needed the depth, and we already had our doubts about Trevino. Excuse me as I hiccup. Trevino issues. That pop thing wasn't just the first observation this season. And so, but shoulda, coulda, woulda, hindsight, yada yada. So meanwhile, we get a right-hand pitcher, Carson Coleman, on a Rule 5 draft from the Rangers. What's the intel on him? Do you have any?
I mean, he just had elbow surgery.
Yep.
That's
yeah.
You got a lot to go off of. He's young, so he's still, I guess, fixable. I don't know.
Right. And so he's a AA level player. He had been in high A Hudson Valley and AA Somerset, but that was 2 seasons ago. So again, it's a box of chocolates. We never know what we're going to get. So we're already getting we're getting young kids that are coming with the injuries. So I just, what are we thinking about? What are we prioritizing here?
I'm wondering because it's just a Rule 5 draft thing. I'm wondering if he could be used as trade value though this season. 2022 when he was pitching, he had like a 3-point-something ERA, so not terrible. The Yankees have to have a better trade deadline this season, right? Like we've just not had good trade deadlines the past few seasons. 2023 was a joke. 2024 we got John Birdie, but he came over and got immediately injured, so it wasn't like it really worked out for us. So I'm wondering, can the Yankees use this kid as trade value later on? Because I don't care what anyone says, we need bullpen pitching. Our bullpen, just looking at it now, it scares the hell out of me. Like it is a huge concern for me.
Yeah. So I guess it's going to be. I mean, that's the whole definition of hot stove season, off season, right?
Mhm.
We just don't know. It's speculation season, and the Yankees are just famous for their, they're making these early on decisions that make zero sense and that we had little investment in, and we're the big things. They're just going to, I don't know if they think that that's going to get them more season ticket holders. I don't know what the strategy is there, or if they're really, um, if they're really thinking that they're going to swoop in and they're waiting to the last minute. They're really not swoopers, as far as I could tell. And like Yankee King say it. Our bullpen is bleep. Yeah, I don't think Ciara has a problem saying that. Do you, Ciara?
No, I don't, but I'm trying to be a little nice today.
Yeah, we're trying to be a little bit optimistic. It's not often that we try to do that, but I'll agree with you 100%, Yankee King. I think it's hard to prioritize my biggest concerns, but I'm really very worried. I think I'm more worried about the pitching, both, starters and bullpen, as I am about do we get Soto or not. Um
100%.
and because the holes are enormous, and our ace, even, um I mean, he was a monster in the postseason. But that he had his issues during the season. So I just really would like to see money spent. If we want to talk about acquiring a name, I really want to see that both in the pen and in the rotation, because they're getting the names ish by putting Cortez and Stroman in the pen, if that's the plan, and that helps. And yet it doesn't give us that guy right before Weaver that we need, because neither Nestor and Stroman are that guy. So, and is that Leiter Jr.? I don't know. Is that Will Warren? No. So where are we going with that? And I know we have relievers still on, the IL that we didn't see all season. But again, then we're having them coming back and reacclimating.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think we talk enough about the pitching. And for me, if I had to give my biggest concern right now, it's the pitching.
Yeah. Yeah, for me, it goes pitching, left field, first base, and then second base.
Right.
Because
Right.
left field, we have proven over the years that not anybody can play left field. Miguel Andujar couldn't do it. Aaron Hicks couldn't do it. We experimented with poor IKF by throwing him out there, and poor Cabrera by throwing him out there. Like, I cannot. And you know what? I want Doogie gone, right? Like, offensively, I can't watch Doogie for another season. But watching how he played left field, I can't go through another 2023 season where I'm watching every Joe Schmo just be thrown out there while we just absolutely tank for whatever reason. I can't do it. I would almost rather see, and I'm going to throw up after I say this because I don't think he can do it very well. I would almost rather see Soto make the transition back to left field than anything else at this point, because I can't. Like,
Well, that begs the question of why we brought Grisham back. And that was the other thing this week that was a big buzz, right? So they signed Grisham for, to avoid arbitration. So what are you feeling about Grisham? I have my opinions that I'll share. What are you feeling?
So I'm going to be in the minority here. I think Trent Grisham it's a good move to bring him back. He's a Gold Glove center fielder. So he's there when Aaron Judge or whoever needs a day off and you have to make some adjustments in the outfield. But also, you know what? Not for nothing. For the very low amount of at bats he got this season, he always got on base, or he always hit home runs that actually made sense. It wasn't like a Josh Donaldson home run that didn't matter to us. Like, I think Trent Grisham is a great move to be back on the roster. And like I said, I'm in the minority. That's okay. I think T Rent is fantastic, and I hope he proves everyone wrong next season.
T Rent, is that what we're rolling with?
Yes.
Okay, let's make that trend. What?
I said T is for T Rent.
T Rent, got it. Okay. So Gregory is saying that Grisham backs up Judge.
Mhm.
Yeah, well, and that's assuming. Are you saying, Gregory, you're already coping with the thought of Soto being gone? Well, no, that would be Soto before Judge. Never mind. Caffeine, please. So and I'm not mad at it either. So you're not alone. I think that first of all, left field is still the big question. And and if they're going to insist on keeping um Dominguez in left, which no, I shouldn't say nobody thinks is a good idea. But center field is going to need somebody solid, and Judge is going to need some rest. So
Mhm.
maybe that's what they're thinking of, is just as a depth piece. And also he would be a good pitch hitter, to your point, because
Mhm.
his bat is productive. The other thing is that he does have some speed, comparatively to some other. So you got some pinch runner possibilities with Grisham. And he's seasoned, and we know he could take New York. I'm not mad about it at all. But you're watching things on Twitter, and it's like, this is ridiculous. Why are you spending the money? First of all, cheap AF.
It's chump
So
change.
yeah, so to have a seasoned solid guy, Gold Glove winner, and solid, not like spectacular, but solid at the plate. I'm not mad. We need that kind of depth.
Yep.
Um, so that was another, in addition to Baker, which we went about. That was another one that they got re-signed, so they're retaining him. So I don't. We've been so hot stove in everything. I don't want to miss mentioning what everybody already knows, but Aaron Judge, as predicted, AL MVP for the second time. And so that was really great news. And what's really great, and unanimously, by the way, if anyone didn't catch that, unanimous vote, MVP. And whatever you feel about Heel getting Rookie of the Year, to have two Yankees in contention for it is a really big deal. And for my money, it should have been Austin Wells. I know, Ciara, you said the same. But for these two young guns to all, be as hot as they are, and of all the rookies out of MLB, I think that's something to feel really good about. So that was really just the big news of the week. And in similar theme, I did things a little bit differently with the trivia question of the week. So I'm gonna give it now before our last segment, and it's kind of related to what we were just talking about. So, thank you, Spencer, as always. Here's the trivia question of the week, everybody. This past week, Aaron Judge won the AL MVP Player of the Year, and Luis Gil won the AL Rookie of the Year. This is the fifth time in Yankees history that one player won MVP and another player won Rookie of the Year in the same year. What year did this happen last? So it's happened before. When was the last? What was the last year where there was a Yankee who won MVP and a different Yankee that won Rookie of the Year?
Was it
So
90?
what?
I wanted to make a guess. Was it 96?
No, it wasn't 96.
Boo.
So put your guesses in the chat, and you're gonna have less time to think about it while I pivot to the last segment that we're going to talk about really briefly. So so great news for the second week in a row. Great women in baseball news. Alyssa Mackin. I'm probably just mocked her by saying her last name wrong. Macon. Ciara, do you know how to say her last name?
I'm pretty. I want to say it's pronounced Nakin,
Yeah,
but
I hope that was right. Yeah. So she had spent the last 5 years coaching full time with the Giants staff. And now the Guardians have hired her into their front office, where she'll be the assistant for player development. So I just wanted to shout that out, because MLB teams are more and more taking big moves and lifting women up in their organizations, and just really good news. We're so pro women in baseball. I like to say it all the time. How many women only podcasts for the Yankees do you see around? I think we are, one of maybe two that we know about. So women do know their stuff and deserve to be in the conversations and in the game. Nobody's trying to make women MLB players. We have a whole new league of our own, no pun intended, that I talked about last week. But that was really good news for women in baseball. And so Karen's guess was 1978. Good guess, Karen, but no. It is the year that I graduated elementary school, though. Um, so hashtag Lynn is old. So let me go right to the answer. So again, here was the question. Oops, let me take that down. Slide management, please. Okay, so this is the fifth time in Yankees history that one player won MVP and another won Rookie of the Year. When did this last happen? And the answer is 1962. So that's a long time since. And let me give you a little bit of history here. And I know Spencer, when he's listening, is really going to enjoy this history. So this has happened, as the question said, 5 times. So it happened in 1951 with Gil Young as Rookie of the Year and Yogi Berra as MVP. It happens again in 1954 with Bob Grimm as Rookie of the Year and Yogi Berra as the MVP. By the way, Yogi Berra was MVP 3 times in his career. That's what I learned finding the answer to this question. 1956, Tony Rubeck. Now we're getting a little bit closer. I remember that name. I don't remember seeing him. So Tony Rubeck was the Rookie of the Year, and a guy named Mickey Mantle was the MVP. And in 1962, it was Tom Tresh, who I've never heard of, was Rookie of the Year, and Mickey Mantle the MVP. And of course, that brings us since then right to our guys from 2024. So, and yes, thanks for the math there, Lori. Thank you for that. I'm not the one that does the math and never should. And Karen was 7 years old. So, but damn, we make aging look good. So, what are your any last remarks, Ciara?
Yeah. So before I get my last remarks, Li, you're always fighting for your life in this chat, and I appreciate you. But let go of the pipe dream that Giancarlo Stanton is being traded. Not only does he have a no trade, yes, not only does he have a no trade clause, but like, why would you want to move on from the guy who carried you in the postseason, carried you in the World Series? I don't care if he's injured half the year at this point. I don't, because we need him, okay? And I love him, so just move on. But last remarks, Yankees desperately need a plan B for Soto. Soto wants money. He wants a farm system. He wants it all, okay? I don't know if anyone has ever watched High School Musical, but if you haven't, Sharpay Evans sings a song. It's I Want It All. That is Juan Soto right now. So just in case, I need the Yankees to have a plan B and to be having conversations behind closed doors that maybe we don't know about, because we still need a left field, we still need a first baseman, we still need a second baseman, and our bullpen is trash, okay? With that being said, regardless of what the Yankees do in the offseason, I need them to focus on fundamentals in spring training, fielding, running the bases, listening to your coach. And I also need them to fire Luis Rojas. Those are my final words.
So, yes to all of that. And speaking of coaches, I would like to see Matt Blake be the only coach standing. And speaking of fundamentals, get some seasoned Yankees that are retired more into the things. I don't want to hear about Pettit making some visits and having some involvement with the pitchers. And I really want to see more commitment to that fundamentals work. And why there isn't a thing like a fundamentals coach, I don't know. I'm not anti Rawson, but I think it's time for Rawson to move on, because we're just not seeing the consistency at the plate that we need to see with the hitters that have the potential to be more consistent. And it's taking a long time when the adjustments need to be made to happen. And some of them, they need to be adjusted again and again and again, as we saw with Volpe last season. So, I'd like to see that as well. Um, Other than that, I think we got to just hunker down. It's going to be like this for a long time. Don't expect any blockbuster news this week. Manage those expectations. And as always, thanks for joining us. And you'll always have a reserved seat right here with Ciara and me on the upper deck. Have a great week and spend the money, Hal.